Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today, and a welcome and a thank you to all of our panelists who I will be introducing shortly. My name is Dan Haley. I'm the president and CEO of the Colorado Oil and Gas Association. And we are here today to celebrate and appreciate responsible oil and natural gas development in Colorado and to explore the many ways that allows us to thrive in the 21st century. We decided to make all of March, Oil and Gas Appreciation Month. And today we want to thank all of those workers. And so thanks to those who are on this call who produce this resource that we use throughout each day of our lives. We also want to thank those consumers and customers of this product that we're producing here in Colorado, cleaner than most anywhere on the planet. I think too often we think of oil and natural gas as fuels or just as fuels, something to put in our cars or something to heat or cool our homes. And as we've seen in recent weeks across the country, that is a hugely important part of what our industry does, supplying affordable and efficient, clean burning natural gas to heat our homes and to help power the grid. But we often forget just how many other things we have or enjoy in the 21st century that are made possible because of oil and natural gas. If you think about it, everything from your cell phone, much of our clothing, our outdoor gear, equipment that's used in restaurants, schools, hospitals across the country, all of it begins with oil and natural gas. It is really a miracle resource that a lot of us take for granted, myself included. Even after 12 months of Zoom calls and team meetings, I'm incredibly thankful for our computer, all the materials that are holding it together, and the countless electrons that are buzzing around the planet, making this virtual event possible today. So today we want to celebrate that, and we want to connect Coloradans back to the products that we use every day that show how oil and gas makes modern living possible and, quite frankly, better than ever. So I'm going to introduce you to three speakers today. And at the end, we're going to have time for a quick Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can enter them in the Q&A section or the chat box of this function here. So this idea for this call was born a few months ago when we learned that the North Face, an outdoor wear company that has recently relocated to Colorado, turned down a large jacket order from a Houston oil and gas company called Innovex. And a vendor told Innovex that North Face doesn't support oil and gas. And publicly, the North Face would only say that co-branded products had to be consistent with our brand guidelines and values. So the idea that North Face doesn't support oil and gas or wouldn't sell jackets to an oil and gas company didn't sit well with a lot of folks who work in our industry. But rather than getting upset with North Face, we decided to thank them for being good consumers and good customers of our industry and really explore how oil and gas makes outdoor recreation possible. So to talk about this idea, I'm going to turn it over to Alex Kramberg, who's the Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of the Board of Aspect Management Corporation, which manages the Aspect family of companies, including Aspect Energy. And as you'll learn from Alex, he really embraces diverse and innovative approaches to solving problems and creating opportunities. So Alex, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Dan. When I first heard about the fact that North Face didn't want to produce jackets for oil and gas companies, I was a little bit dumbstruck, partly because actually our latest jackets came from the North Face, and we liked them a lot, and we appreciated the hydrocarbons that they were made out of, but most importantly, the comfort and style that they presented. I thought, well, that's strange, but Aspect Holdings is our company. It doesn't have energy on the name, so I guess that means that we're eligible to buy their product. I thought, well, why are we talking about getting mad at these people? They're actually our customers. And like most companies, I like to appreciate our customers. And in particular, North Face has meaning as a customer to me because I've purchased some of our corporate jets from North Face. In fact, this little baby right here came from North Face, and they're building one of the largest corporate hangars in Colorado. They're a copious consumer of our very fine Colorado-produced jet fuel. So the thought that I had was, well, instead of getting angry at these guys, we really should just appreciate them. They're using our product. They may not appreciate how valuable it is, but I'd like to show how much we appreciate North Face and all the other companies that use our products to make the world a better place for us.
Thank you, Alex. And now we're going to turn it over to Chris Wright, who will salute North Face with our first ever Customer Appreciation Award. And please feel free to send us ideas for future Customer Appreciation Awards. but Chris is also going to talk about oil and gas and how it allows our outdoor recreation industry to thrive in the 21st century. So quick intro to Chris. He is the Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of the Board of Liberty Oilfield Services. He also founded and serves as Executive Chairman of Liberty Resources, a Bakken-focused E&P company, and Liberty Midstream Solution. He has had a lifelong passion for energy and its role in human life. And he grew up in Colorado and is a passionate skier, cyclist, climber, and outdoor enthusiast. Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Dan. It's an honor to be here today and to bestow the first ever oil and gas extraordinary customer award to North Face. North Face truly is an extraordinary customer of the oil and gas industry. And as you already heard, I'm Chris Wright, the CEO of a frac company. We work with companies to make oil and gas wells better through technology and services. And North Face came out, didn't want to associate with our industry, but hey, I don't want to judge them by their words. We're going to judge them by their actions. So I went through North Face website of wide-ranging products, enabling all sorts of wonderful outdoor activities. And I failed to find a single product that wasn't made out of petrochemicals, out of the products we make. The great majority of North Face's products, jackets, backpacks, outdoor pants, shirts, shoes, hats, etc., in fact, are dominantly made out of the petrochemicals that we so proudly produce. Globally, 60% of all clothing fibers are made out of oil and gas. For North Face, it is likely higher than 90%. And that's simply because they make premium, high-performance products. But our customer relationship goes much further than simply supplying North Face with copious raw materials. Their vast manufacturing, distribution, retailing networks are also large consumers of gasoline, diesel, natural gas, propane, jet fuel, etc. But heck, I could say that about virtually any manufacturing company. So North Face doesn't truly stand out in this regard. Perhaps they went the extra mile with those outdoor natural gas and propane fireplaces. And sure, the fleet of private jets, corporate jets, those certainly go a ways as well, but many others check those boxes. Where North Face does go the extra mile is their focus on the outdoor industry, an industry which only came into existence because of oil and gas. Without the enormous leap forward in human wealth and health catalyzed by the arrival of oil and gas, there simply was not the spare time and wealth necessary to pursue such enjoyable leisure activities as outdoor sports. My whole family loves outdoor activities. Thank God we were born in an age where all of these joys are possible. Escaping the modern world to the great outdoors typically begins with modern energy and transportation, whether by car, bus, train, or plane. Our outdoor choices keep expanding because we now have all these fabulous outdoor toys made of petrochemicals, like skis, snowboards, wakeboards, bikes, kayaks, canoes, sailboats, hot air balloons, climbing gear, ropes, tents, etc. I could go on and on. We can spend days in the outdoors with our lightweight backpacks, tents, sleeping bags, cooking stoves, and all with materials enabled and made of oil and gas. In fact, climbing the world's highest mountains wasn't even imagined before oil and gas, for all the reasons that I've already mentioned, the materials, the equipment. Plus, there's no water high up on mountains. Fortunately, we can carry canisters of white gas or other petroleum products to melt snow or ice off glaciers for drinking water and to enable cooking at any elevation, even above 26,000 feet. I could go on and on about the beauty of wilderness, the joy of being in the backcountry, the character building experiences made possible with outdoor activities among family and friends, the team adventures, and the serenity of the great outdoors, all only possible thanks to oil and gas. So North Face is not only an extraordinary customer of the oil and gas industry, they're also an extraordinary partner with the oil and gas industry and bringing the great outdoors within the reach of so many. So thank you, North Face, and you're welcome. Onwards and upwards.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you joining us today and for your time. We also have with us Tom Pyle, who is the president of the Institute for Energy Research, who's going to talk about how oil and gas has helped the world get through this pandemic. Tom is the president of the Free Market Institute for Energy Research and CEO of its advocacy arm, the American Energy Alliance. He's a co-host of a podcast where he offers insights and breaks down the political and energy events of the week. He has nearly 30 years of experience in energy and environmental policy. Turn over to you, Tom.
Thanks so much, Dan, and it's a pleasure to be joined by you, Chris, and Alex. And I look forward to getting back to Colorado to enjoy some of that outdoor activity. The pandemic has kind of kept us at home for obvious reasons. And, we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel with respect to this coronavirus. And I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about the critical role that oil and natural gas has played in helping our essential workers fight this global pandemic. Just as the oil and gas industry is the backbone of our economy, it's the foundation of our medical industry. The miracle vaccines for COVID-19 would be impossible without the huge contributions of America's first in the world supplies of oil and natural gas. Hydrocarbons are the basis of organic chemistry, which in turn makes medical grade plastics that are used in the production of vials, screening, protective gear, thousands of other applications throughout the entire medical logistics chain. These plastics have innumerable medical uses, from the easing of an open MRI machine, the housing of refrigeration units, where many of these vaccines and medicines are stored until use, to the mask that we use to protect ourselves and our neighbors and our friends and family, where many of these vaccines wouldn't be possible without these resources. Not to mention the tubing, all of the equipment in healthcare, in the healthcare industry that make it simpler, less painful, and much more affordable, so that we can mass produce these resources at a significantly lower cost. These hydrocarbons are making medical supplies possible to manufacture, including the IV components, syringes, tubes, polypropylene masks, gowns, goggles, everything that our first responders are using, and our patients are getting well and getting better as a result. And that's just in the hospital, so to speak. We can't forget that these resources provide 63% of our electricity nationwide: hydrocarbons, coal, oil, and natural gas. They're used in hospitals, the production facilities, cooling, and sterile air handling as well. And let's not forget the logistics. 95% of our transportation fuels, from gasoline to diesel to jet fuel, they're all necessary to transport the personnel, the parts, the vaccines themselves. This is impossible without oil and gas. These resources make modern life possible in every link of the chain for sustaining life and producing medical miracles. Modern accelerated development and deployment of life-saving vaccines are simply impossible without hydrocarbons. And the United States is uniquely blessed with a vast amount of these resources. Dan?
Great, thanks so much, Tom. And Tom's group put out a great report just a few months ago on how oil and gas has contributed to this effort. And if you don't see it on his website, we'll make sure we link it on ours too at COGA.org, so everybody can see it there. So thank you, Tom, for joining us. Finally, I want to let everybody know about a new campaign that we're starting in Colorado to show Coloradans just how integral this product is to our lives. As we've heard on this call, oil and natural gas are the underpinnings of our modern society. We know we're going to need this product for the long foreseeable future. So if you care about the environment, it's important that this resource is developed in the United States, where we do protect the environment, and especially here in Colorado. where we believe we're developing oil and natural gas cleaner, better, and safer than most anywhere. So in fact, the oil and natural gas molecules produced in Colorado are among the cleanest in the world. You look at Colorado's rigorous regulatory framework and the environmental rules that are widely seen as the gold standard. Our companies are utilizing state-of-the-art technology, in some cases developing it themselves, and innovation to decrease emissions, reduce leaks, limit venting and flaring, and disturb less land. We've started calling it the Colorado Molecule, and you can find out more about it at COGA.org. The end result, though, of that Colorado molecule is abundant, efficient, and affordable energy sourced and produced locally in one of the safest, most environmentally sound manners anywhere. And that matters, particularly if you think about the alternative, which is relying on energy produced by countries with poor labor standards and environmental practice. So we really want to make sure that our fellow Coloradans not only know about the Colorado molecule, but that they also have a better understanding of how locally sourced oil and gas are used. To do that, we're launching this month a new educational campaign called Fueling Our Lives, which will connect Coloradans to the products they use every day and our oil and natural gas resources. We'll also show how energy is developed here, cleaner, better, and safer than most anywhere. So there'll be digital ads and billboards directing users back to our website, where we'll expand on Colorado's role in creating these environmentally friendly oil and gas products. I want to thank our panelists who joined us today, and for all of you who have been on this call. I think we have several minutes left for Q&A. Chelsea Mura, the director of West Slope COGA, come back on and maybe curate that Q&A if we've got any questions coming in.
Yeah, it looks like we have a few, and thank you all for your amazing and thoughtful words. I think that was a really unique perspective on this topic. The first question that's come to us says, the North Face hasn't had much to say on this topic. Since they are now a Denver-based company, have you reached out to them? I don't know, Dan, maybe from the trade association perspective, you want to take this one.
Yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the call that they did say that the order, for example, in Houston didn't match their brand and their values. And so because they're a Colorado-based company, we did reach out to the CEO and their PR person seeking clarity on what happened in that case. And we really wanted to reach out to them as a fellow Colorado business, but also to let them know that we all have to work together to make our state better and to make our planet a better place to live. And I think a lot of people don't realize or forget that the women and men who work in this industry are among the nation's brightest. They're innovative engineers, scientists, environmentalists, field workers, and they're really dedicated to developing this product safer and cleaner, as I've said on this call. So I think the bottom line is, if we want to tackle things like climate change, we need cooperation from our entire economy. And we need, consumers to do their part, but also businesses. And this industry is certainly at the table. And want to do our part. We can't do it alone. So we want to make sure that we're working with everybody. And so that's why we reached out and hope to continue those conversations with other folks as well.
Extremely important to have a cohesive path forward for sure. Chris, it looks like you get the next question. The VF Corp has a number of different brands. Now, under this award, would all of these be eligible for your Customer Appreciation Award?
Well, they're all eligible, of course. We're certainly giving the first award to North Face because that one company consumes our full suite of products, all the way from petrochemicals to natural gas to propane to diesel to jet fuel, and to have such a large percent of what they make, probably 3/4 of the mass they ship, is actually our product. So it's hard to top the all-in nature of North Face as a consumer of our product. But I should point out as well that, as you mentioned, VF, they also own Timberland, who makes Oilfield boots that a lot of our guys, including myself, wear. They have Bulwark that makes flame-resistant clothing that our industry uses a lot, and Dickies, whose shirts, also flame-resistant shirts, are incredibly popular in our industry. So maybe the whole VF Corp is sort of a full circle with us. They both help us produce it, and then they're really a committed all-in consumer, via North Face. So yeah, hats off to all of VF, but the award today is for North Face.
Thanks, Chris. I think that that's an important piece to bring up is how the life cycle of our product is used in all of the F Corp brands and how we utilize some of those to produce those wonderful resources. Tom, it looks like you get the next question here. There's been a lot of discussion around single-use plastics. I know we were having some of those discussions in Colorado pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, and now in this post-pandemic world. And in the medical world, are there any non-plastic options for things like IV bags, syringes, et cetera?
None of these medical grade plastics that are utilized by our healthcare workers and our healthcare industry cannot be made with any other product at the moment. I know that there's efforts to try to do that, but it can't be done. And when you talk about single-use plastic bans, I found it really ironic that at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of the municipalities that have banned single-use plastic, for example, going into, at grocery stores or whatever, temporarily repealed those bans because it turns out that they are indeed the safest way to deal with this stuff. The reusable bags that you bring back and forth, they found studies showing that they were loaded with viruses. And so it'd be unfortunate to like, if it's good enough during the pandemic, it should be good enough all the time. And anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's funny because people think of Moderna and J&J, and these guys are great, Pfizer, but they can't do what they do without this industry. It's impossible. And certainly the logistics, transporting this, storing it in that super cold environment that it needs in order to be viable for use, none of that would be possible without oil and gas, period.
We're not looking at any sugarcane vials or we were talking about paper straws the other day. There's no substitute for these products that we're looking at. Mr. Kranberg, I'd like to ask you this, and maybe Dan, you can follow up as well. What do you hope the public learns from this effort? I know that this is something you've been very passionate about since about Christmas time. Well, and before.
Well, I obviously hope that people better appreciate the importance of oil and gas in their daily lives, and that in particular, the oil and gas we produce at home, being the cleanest oil and gas we can produce, and that helps provide jobs and incomes for Americans, should be prioritized over sending money abroad and sending those jobs abroad, just in the interests of helping our own economy as well.
Yeah, and I would just add, really, and I said it before, that to understand that oil and gas are the underpinnings of our modern society. And we've heard today just two areas that are critical to Colorado. Healthcare obviously is critical. Outdoor recreation is part of who we are. And these products make it possible. They make it better. They allow us to really thrive in the 21st century. So I think that's missing for a lot of folks. So it's important for people like us to talk about it. And then really to, again, if we need it, let's develop it in the United States. Let's develop it in Colorado, where it's being done cleaner and better and protecting the environment.
Can I throw in a couple of things on that too? The idea that you don't produce it here doesn't mean that we're not going to use it, and that means we have to import it. If we import it from the Middle East, you got to transport it. That you're talking a significantly higher. I think the numbers are somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 times more greenhouse gas emissions for a barrel of oil from the Middle East coming here and being utilized than one right in our backyard. So it's a win-win for the environment as well if we're making if we're producing these resources here at home.
Absolutely. I think the biggest piece is those broad blanket campaign promises don't make good policy or science. Well, Dan, that's all the questions we had on today. I don't know if you had a few closing words or if anybody else wanted to say anything to wrap up, but I think that that was a great presentation. And we have one last question, and this is actually a really good one, if you don't mind if I ask it.
Go ahead.
being done at the federal level to get these messages through? It is maddening that our federal government would ignore some of the negative environmental impact from production in less regulated area, especially when it comes to certain regions or aspects of renewable energy.
I don't know if anybody else wants to answer this, but I think a lot of work's being done now by national trade associations to get that message out to our federal government. But what we can all do as Coloradans and as Americans is to make sure that our representatives understand all the things that we talked about, that they understand why this industry is important to our communities, to our state, and to our country. So we all have a role to play. We can rely on other people to do it, or we can pick up the phone ourselves, call our reps, email folks, make sure that people at the highest levels of government understand just what this industry's been doing, will continue to do in the future, and then the role that it plays. And as Tom pointed out, we're going to need the resource. So do we want to develop it in this country and enjoy this period of energy abundance, or do we want to rely on foreign nations for our energy? I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to add to that, but go ahead.
Dan, it's Chris. I think that's a good summary. And I'll say as well, look, I started my energy career in the renewable energy field. I personally, I don't care where energy comes from. I want energy that's affordable, that's reliable, that enables better, longer, richer, healthier lives. Those are the end products are what matter for me. I'll also throw out that the renewable energies that we're investing so much in today, simply impossible without oil and gas. So they are yet another industry that couldn't exist without our industry. Take wind, for example. In the tower of every wind turbine, in the tower is 100 tons of coking coal, with a few hundred other tons of thermal coal used to put the coking coal in to make iron plus carbon, which makes steel. The blades are made out of oil and gas. Of course, the manufacturing process, the transport, most of this stuff is made overseas. Here, the installation, the maintenance. So they're really sort of subsidiary industries of the oil and gas industry. And if there's technologies that are better and cheaper, fantastic. We're all in all of those things. But people think of us as like this isolated little source that maybe we'll just put away. That's just not how the modern world works. But we've too long had our heads down and assumed everyone else will do their own research. And obviously that was a failed PR strategy. So we're going to speak out more and point out what we do and how it enables everything else. We love the modern world. We love all the industries that have been enabled. And we've got other award winners coming that may be equally surprising.
I think with that, a great reminder, if you have suggestions for future award winners, send them our way. We'd love to see those suggestions and can't wait to give out some future awards. And Dan, can't wait to see what you and the team turn out with this new ad campaign. I think it'll be awesome to really pull it together throughout the rest of the winter, see how we utilize these resources when the weather turns great and we can go out and hike and backpack and camp. So thanks all for your time. Really appreciate the effort and the energy behind this and look forward to the next award winner.
Awesome. I've got a few closing comments along with Chelsea. Anybody else have anything else you want to add? Great. If not, I will close us out. Thank you, Chelsea, for all of that. Thank you to our panelists for joining us. And thank you to everybody who was on the call. This Thursday, if you work in oil and gas, is our COGA Day at the Capitol. It's a virtual day at the Capitol. Go to our website, COGA.org, so you can register, find out what's happening at the State House, how you can get engaged in that process and talk to your lawmakers and advocate on behalf of this industry. That's this Thursday at noon. COGA.org has information on that. And then finally, last little piece, Colorado ski resorts have been swamped with snow in the past couple of weeks. So I say gas up that SUV, put on your winter gear that we talked about today. Skis, snowboards, head up to the hills and have a great time and enjoy all the things that are made possible by Colorado's oil and natural gas workers. So thank you all for being here today, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks.